This is going to be a very, very sensitive topic. And I hope that a lot of you will understand that I have to say it like this, not to be mean, but to prove a point. So again, that hopefully all of you will understand. So here we go. Hello everyone. Once again, this is Dare to Speak. And I just want to make this very clear that I'm not saying this to sound like a racist asshole or anything like that. This is something that I suspected for at least a good 20 years. And I just want to make a very serious point. There's been some people who've been making very hurtful comments on this subject. And I could understand, in a sense, even though they took it to a very, very cruel and insensitive level. But what is considered beautiful is really a person's point of view. Now, I've been talking already to a couple of people who, of course, they don't want to be on camera. And they said that the whole idea of black men preferring white women over black women when it comes to dating them, when it comes to basically just being with them. I noticed something that was very, very profound. And again, not to be mean, but I find this to be true. And I noticed that even with my own race, with Hispanics, like for example, there's a lot of Hispanics that prefer European-looking Hispanics. And there's some people that I knew in high school and some people that I knew in the workplace years later. They were not very good looking because they had too much Aztec. And of course, just, they're very dark skinned and stuff like that. So they have no choice but to settle for an Aztec and someone who's not really all that pretty. At least that was the excuse they gave. And I could see their point. I could understand their point. And of course, they go crazy for white girls. Very beautiful white girls. And I'm pretty sure that's how it is with blacks. I have spoken to one black woman so far who didn't want to be on camera, and she dates white men. And I says, can I do a interview with you on this one? He says, no. I won't show your face. I'll just like pan over to your hands or to your weight, whatever, just to know that I've been talking to you, but it will just be your voice, not your face. And just no, because I'm gonna end up getting a lot of flack, and you might get in trouble for it, and stuff like that. And like, why? Because, and then she said, and this black woman, she's very educated, and she's not ghetto at all. And she dates only white men, and she said that, and her family would get on her case about it, because they're a little bit of the opposite. And they said, "What's wrong? You don't like your own kind?" And she's like, "No, it's not that." And I said, "Your family actually said that to you?" She says, "Yeah." They said some of my friends and a lot of my family were to say, "How come you don't date your own kind? Well, you're ashamed of them or something?" And she says, "No, I just like white men. I just like dating them. I'm attracted to white men." And I'm like, "Okay, that sounds great to me. I don't, more power to you. I don't have nothing against that." And then when I talked to her about why black men date white women, is it just they just prefer them? And she says, "Well, there is a reason." And she said that there's a lot of black women that are very ghetto, or a little bit ghetto, and they're very angry. And a lot of them have attitude problems and stuff like that. And they don't want to put up with it. But she said, well, then after that, she said, "You're going to have to ask a black man this, or especially ones who dates white women and only prefers white women." And it was very difficult for me to find one. So I basically just put all the pieces together from people that I have spoken to. And they basically said something that I kind of suspected to begin with. I'm not trying to sound racist or anything like that, but they even said when they were younger, they preferred black women that were very light-skinned, that had European features. They didn't like the ones that were too African, too, they used a word there, but I'm not going to say it because I don't want to sound racist. But they prefer the more European looking. Now, I do have some examples to show, and hopefully this is the point that they're making. But they preferred black women that were more light skinned. They were all about the beauty and the vanity. And the ones that were too African, they weren't really all that crazy about. But then when it came to very beautiful white women, white girls, they went crazy for them. And a lot of them don't want to admit that they're, at least this was what one person said. And of course he didn't want to be on camera because he's going to be looked at as a sellout, or if he were to, if people were to see his face. He says that there's a lot of black men who are very attracted to white women more than black women, because they see them as having more superior vanity. And I'm like, wow. And of course, there's people that are not black. There's some whites and some Hispanics that I mentioned this to, and they said, and of course they said some very mean things, and I'm not gonna say what they said. But they actually made a point. But this is what some people have said, and this is an example that I wanted to show on what is considered beauty. But this is the way society thinks. I don't think it has anything to do with, anything to do with being manipulated or anything like that. I think this is just a natural personal preference that just happens. It's something natural. So just tell me what you think on this. Okay, this is just to let all of you know that I'm not trying to discriminate against anyone. I'm just trying to prove a point by setting a few examples. So please try to understand that I'm just trying to make a point on what most people think, but they do not want to admit to it. Many people, regardless of race, will not necessarily look at this one or this type of person beautiful. And some will, in a sense, yes. But as compared to somebody like this, black women that are like this, that are light-skinned, that are mixed with European, maybe Hispanic, who knows, are always going to be seen as more attractive, a lot more attractive than women like this, more attractive than women like this, and a lot of people would definitely say more attractive than women like this. There was a TV show that I saw in which these black women were trying to compete to go out with this one guy who was black. And there was a woman who looked exactly like this that was one of the competitors. And the other women that she was competing with had features very close to this. And the first thing they said was, "Oh my God, what does she have her spear and her shield?" And they started looking at it and they started, scoffing like crazy, calling this woman a spear chucker. That she's ugly looking because she has too much African. And then they were saying a bunch of very insensitive type of things behind her back. I could understand the lack of vanity that woman has when they're compared to women like this. When I was growing up in high school, there was some black girls that looked like this, with very nice, light, fair skin. And they were very beautiful. Forget about the makeup. Forget about what they were wearing. I'm just talking about their faces, the way they look, and their nice bodies. But then there was also, women, girls that look like this. And they were not really, if you compare these to the other ones, they don't really look attractive. And of course, there's people that would say mean things, saying that they look like apes, and they're ugly as hell, and all sorts of, real mean things. Now, granted, there's some that are very cute, like this one is very cute. Despite her dark complexion, her eyes, she has those exotic eyes. She's very beautiful. Very cute face. This one is another one. Very cute face, very pretty face, like a model. But the ones that are mostly made fun of are women like this. The ghetto trash type of unattractive type women. And the thing about it is, of course, like I said before, it's all about preference, it's all about point of view. Women like this are always going to be seen as inferior to beautiful white women by men regardless of race, whether black, Hispanic, white, or whatever like that. It doesn't really matter. And there's a lot of black men that will not admit that someone like this would not compare to the vanity of white women that look like this, especially in their late teens, early 20s. Beautiful face, beautiful body. It's my opinion as far as suspicion-wise. And I'm just saying suspicion-wise. The beautiful women like this, they actually prefer because of their vanity. They find them more attractive, a lot more attractive, especially white women like this. Like this. White women like this, they will definitely go crazy for. Doesn't matter what race the man is. And white women like this are always going to be seen as superior in vanity. And it's strongly understandable. Very strongly understandable. Beautiful face. Beautiful body. Now, with the exception of this and this, like I said before, very pretty, very cute. Unfortunately, women like this and like this, and more importantly, women like this are always going to be threatened, severely threatened, by black women that look like this, especially if it's natural beauty. And more importantly, they're going to be threatened by women like this. Severely threatened by women like this. Beautiful white women like this. Their face and their body. Because they know they can't compare. They can't really compete. Now, it's my suspicion, like I said before, and again, I'm not trying to discriminate just to be a jerk. Please understand, I'm just trying to make a point. But one of the reasons why black men want to date white women, or why they're so attracted to white women, aside from other reasons, but this reason is because of vanity. They actually see them as being more attractive. They're just naturally more attractive. And I honestly suspect that most black men that are attracted to white women will never admit to that. This is another example from another YouTuber who calls herself Schnucks. Even though I value her opinion, I respect her opinion. However, what society thinks, like I said, is all preference, but most society thinks this way. But it does make sense. And when she gets to the whole idea of having too much African, having too much black, like the example that I showed you, is never going to be deemed as pretty or beautiful. So I could strongly understand that from that point. And I'm sorry, I'm not saying that to be mean. But even though racism can be a problem when things are taken too far. But on the other hand, the way society has deemed what's considered beautiful and what's not.
I've heard some black men saying how they want to feel equal to white men, as if they are already. So they have babies with white women as a type of social game, and they're doing that to prove to white men that they're equal. Society and media pushes the idea of Caucasian physical traits as beauty. It's almost saying black can never be beautiful on its own. It needs to be mixed with something to be considered beautiful. You see it all over TV shows, movies, and commercials. The Proud Family, for example, the father was darker and the kids were light-skinned. On Martin, Gina was light-skinned and Martin was darker. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, the kids were all lighter, and they also replaced the dark-skinned actress that played Aunt Viv for a lighter-skinned actress. This also goes for music artists. Dark-skinned male rappers are promoted while light-skinned female singers are promoted. Beyonce, Rihanna, Mariah. So some black men falsely believe that only light skin and white women are beautiful and that only babies with them could be beautiful. They grow up with this internalized hatred, so they don't really care who they have a child with as long as they're lighter than them. I'm not even going to get into all the problems that there is with this, but if you hate your own race, you're only going to be raising your child to hate where they come from, their background, and to hate themselves.
Now, this is one comment that someone said on one of her videos. And hopefully you can read it very well. What this person said was very, very mean. But this is just something that most people actually feel. But most people won't necessarily admit to it because of political correctness.
Would you like a squeeze?
Oh, yes.
Wet your brow?
Bless you, my child, though I see you've already been blessed. What is that?
If you could see right here how someone like this is favored, is being a lot more attractive than the more African-looking black women. A lot of people see it that way. That's the thing. And of course, white women that look like this are also seen much more attractive than black women that are dark-skinned with very much African features. It is racist in a sense, but that's the thing. You need to realize a lot of people favor that. A lot of men are very shallow. And I guess if you want to call it racist in a sense too, or constructive racism. These two type of women with this type of vanity will always be seen as superior. And that's the type of society we live in. This is a thing that a lot of people need to realize. It's very hurtful, it's very mean. If you want to call it racist or whatever, it's however you want to call it, or even shallow. There's a lot, from what I understand, from what I heard, a lot of black men are afraid to admit that they're more attractive to women like that. Because they're seen as with superior vanity. Black women like the one you just saw just now, that's mixed in with possibly with Hispanic or European features. And you could easily tell that she's not 100%, African. Which explains her beauty, according to many people, or even black men, a lot of black men that actually say that. But they won't admit to it. Now, again, there was a couple of black men who said that, but they don't want to be on camera. And I tried so hard just to say, I won't even show your face. I'll just pan down to your chest, or all they're gonna do is just hear your voice, and then or just pan down to your from your waist with your hands standing up, or you can sit down, or whatever you want to do it. However you want to do it, and they still don't want to do it. I guess they're worried that someone might recognize their voices or something. I don't know what the case is. But according to, there was only two that said this. And they said that there's a lot of black men that actually admit that. They admit to that, but they don't want to, they're too scared to even say it, because they don't want to bother with being called a sellout, or whatever, a traitor, or any number of things, or whatever, or be called I don't know what kind of names you would call it, but the thing about it is they just don't want to admit to it, according to them. And I could understand why. I mean, when it comes to vanity, from what I noticed, even when I was growing up in high school, the ones that are mixed, that have that type of vanity, what you just saw right now from that example, they actually are very attractive compared to the more African-looking, dark skin. And of course, some people see some very mean things. I mean, some very, very mean things. I mean, if you think they're unattractive, okay, fine, but don't go as far as to say that they're fucking ugly because they look like fucking monkeys. They look like a orangutan with nappy hair, or they look like chimpanzees with a wig. And some of them say some very mean and racist things. I mean, like, and this was in high school, and this was in also a lot of times in the workplace from when I was growing up in my 20s. I noticed that. Me, I've never been attracted to black women that were dark skinned. They have to be mixed. Because to me, I'm just speaking for myself. I'm not trying to put anybody down. But I always found them attractive that way compared to the ones that are very dark skinned, that are very African looking. The ones that, and that's just how I am. But that's how it is. But then I don't think that's racist. I think it's more like shallow, I guess. I don't know. But that's how I am. But I would never go as far as to like degrade someone just because of the way they look. unless they're like one of those deluded type of people that think they're good looking, but they're not. And there was this one lady who was black. She was a security guard at the casino that I was working at, and she would flirt with me. And even though she was married, she flirted with me. And she was fucking ugly. And I got tired of her one time, and I told her to leave me alone. And the thing about it is, there was other people that went off on her because she would flirt with other people too. And despite all the mean things they say about her, saying that, they call her a fat walrus, because she had real big jabber lips, and she had that, like, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be mean, but she had like a monkey face, and they would make fun of her, call her like a fat gorilla with a wig or that kind of thing. And the thing about it is, she pretty much brought it on herself because she kept on flirting with people, and eventually she got fired for sexual harassment. Now, again, beauty is what's considered beautiful or not is really a point of view. I don't think there's any right or wrong answer to this. I think it's a personal preference. I think it's a point of view of someone, of someone's opinion and stuff like that. And that's just basically how it is. Now, hopefully you understand my point in this. And I'm not saying this to be mean or anything like that. But this is just a suspicion, and based on the information that I got from a few people, which again did not want to be on camera when they said this. They pretty much just told me what they felt. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Questions or comments, you know what to do. And this is Dare to Speak. And to all of you, take care.